I want to call to order the East Chicago Common Council special meeting on Thursday, July 2nd, 2020. Could everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America,
States of America,
which is
and to the republic
Republic
for which
for
it
which it stands,
stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
First District Councilwoman Monica Gonzalez.
Here.
Monica Gonzalez.
Here.
Second District Councilman Lenny Francisci. Third District Councilman Terrence Hill.
Here.
Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfield.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange. Here. Councilman at Large Dwayne Ransifer.
Here.
Councilman at Large Emiliano Perez.
Here.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Council President Robert Garcia.
Present. Tony Buscemi, are you online?
Mr. President, I am.
All right. Thank you. Before we start with the ordinance on the agenda, I'd like to make a comment. This last meeting, I reviewed it, and Ms. Morgan's conduct was unwarranted and inappropriate behavior. And Attorney Buscemi, I would like you to send a letter to Attorney Morgan and the mayor, giving them a stern warning that this behavior will not be tolerated by this council. Saying that, first ordinance on the agenda.
Ordinance 20-0010, sponsored council members Robert Garcia, Kenneth Monroe, and Terrence Hill. An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago, Indiana, authorizing the use of the Heritage Hall Community Recreation Center Gymnasium to conduct official public meetings of the Common Council, and authorizing the use of other city facilities for community meetings conducted by Common Council members.
Is there a motion for third and final reading?
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
First by Councilman Perez, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
I have one.
Yeah, Councilman Hill?
Yeah, after giving this some considerable thought about the Heritage Hall and speaking with the city,
I can't hear you, Councilman.
I said, I gave this some thought since the last meeting, and after the meeting, I spoke with the Central Service Director and Ms. Morgan and Sandra, and they were saying that Heritage Hall is a hall that is being used, and it takes a lot to set up and break down for those meetings. And they suggested maybe Martin Luther King, we could do Martin Luther King and keep it set up so they won't have to use a lot of manpower to work at the Heritage Hall for our meetings. And they also were talking about security. However, there's never no security at these meetings now. But if we have to have them, all we have to do is have a police, whoever the police officer is working that area that particular day, they can be on standby. But we haven't had any outlandish activities happening at these meetings. So I like Heritage Hall, but if it's going to cause a problem or it's going to take out a lot of manpower and cost us a little more money, let's just do it at Martin Luther King and keep it set up. Because they're not using Martin Luther King at this particular time. And we can't use Bessie Owens because it's under renovation. But Heritage Hall is a nice place, but if we have to have it at Martin Luther King Center instead of Heritage Hall, I'm all for that as well. Thank you.
Councilwoman Orange?
Also, you also have Roxana School that's available. I called Sandra, and she mentioned the fact that they could have that set up so you could have it in different parts of the town, which may be even better for us because in that way, everybody can have it in different parts. But what I don't understand is that why are we considering Heritage Hall at all when we can't even fill up the council chambers as it is? I mean, the only time we've ever had an overflow crowd is when the firemen were protesting. So I don't know what the thing of it is I know social distancing. Yeah, Councilman last time said he had 30, 40 people at his house, so that I know that doesn't make a difference. And so the thing of it is I'm not understanding why it has to be when I could see if you had an overflow crowd and you knew it was coming and we had something, and then you say, hey, we need a bigger place because of social distancing. I'm not there, but I bet you it ain't 5 people in the audience right now. And we do have a council chambers. But Mr. Buscemi, I have a question for you. The thing of it is that, okay, how do you make them do it? Because you do an ordinance doesn't make them go and have somebody set up, break down, overtime or whatever. I got a boss right now that has a board. Councilman Garcia got a school board. Councilman Perez got the county council. We're not here to do the mayor's job or take over the city, because that's what it seems like to me that we're trying to do, is we're trying to run the city from the council chambers. So everybody got a school board or a county council, and I would bet to anything that they're not going there and telling a school board member going and telling Councilman Garcia what to do or Councilman Perez what to do. I just think that you're setting it for a bad precedent, because Anthony Copeland is not going to always be the mayor. And then you guys are going to want to change things to benefit your own self. I just think it's wrong. We are the caretakers of the money, and we make laws, but just to come and think that y'all can just run day-to-day operation, I think it's horrible. And you wouldn't have done it to any other mayor. I know you didn't do it because I sat on that with some of y'all, and I know you didn't do it to the last one. And I just think it's horrible. And Mr. Buscemi, how do you make them do it and make them do overtime, even with the ordinance?
Councilwoman Orange and members of the council, the issue that you raised, Councilwoman Orange, is covered in Section 3 of the ordinance. And the ordinance shouldn't be interpreted as the city council trying to run the city's day-to-day operations. That's not what this ordinance does. This ordinance just makes it clear under city law that the city council, for its official public meetings, is authorized to use any of the city-owned facilities that it needs. And the second thing that the ordinance does is it makes it clear that individual city council members are authorized to use any other city-owned facility for their own council member community meetings if the facility is needed. And the issue that you addressed, Councilwoman Orange, is covered in Section 3. How do you make them do it? Hopefully, it won't get to that, but Section 3 provides that the Parks Department, the Recreation Center staff, the Police Department, because they have a facility that also has a meeting area, and any other representatives of the city are required to fully cooperate with the Common Council and fully cooperate with council members to facilitate the conducting of any official public meetings that the council or individual members need at these city facility locations. So that's the purpose of the ordinance, and that's what the ordinance does. It requires cooperation by the city administration and the city departments to assist the council or an individual council member in using a city facility.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Yes, and the ordinance, as Attorney Buscemi stated, once we pass this ordinance, we can have the meeting at Martin Luther King. We can have the meeting at Roxana. We can have the meeting anywhere we want. I think the problem that we're having is a lack of communication between the council and the administration, where I tried to do this through email, and they just basically said, wait. We're not trying to take over anything. This COVID-19 is unprecedented. So we're just trying to take steps to ensure that when we do have a full council, because we don't, if a full council was here, we would be spread out throughout this room. We couldn't sit next to each other or couldn't sit 6 feet apart from each other. It's so congested in here. So this ordinance doesn't do anything but allow us to make a choice between the council chambers or any other public facility that East Chicago owns, including Martin Luther King and Roxana Center.
Any other comments?
Yes, Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
So how will you decide on when you're going to use it? Councilwoman Gonzalez, how will you decide that today we're going to use Martin Luther King, tomorrow we're going to use Roxana? How are you going to decide? What is the deciding factor on what you use?
Again, that would be great communication if we had it from the administration. If we can get together and decide with them, that would be the next step. Other than the council chambers, not to mention, I think in the summertime, it's very hot up here. I'm sweating just sitting here. Better ventilation. So once we pass this ordinance, we can sit down, we talk with the administration and figure out the next step.
Mr. President.
But I'm saying at some point, the council has to decide how you're going to make that decision. Are you making a decision on the size of the crowd?
That's why I thought it should be Heritage Hall from the very beginning, only because Heritage Hall is right here. If somebody came and said, you know what, I came for the council meeting, at least we can direct them a half a block down the way instead of going, oh, you know what, it's at Roxana or it's at Martin Luther King. So that's another discussion. But I mean, and you can ask Sandra, that was the very first place that I suggested because it was not even a half a block away from council chambers.
Councilman Hill?
Yes. In the event we have to use the centers, we just can rotate per month. Okay, next month is what, August? So August, we have a council meeting for that month in this location. September, have the council meeting at a different location if necessary, and do it by that schedule. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, how we should want to do this. We just need to come together as a council and agree on what we need to do to have these meetings because of this pandemic. So,
Any other comments?
Yes, I have a comment.
Yes.
So my question is, if we're still abiding by the standards or the policies of state in terms of how many people we allow in a meeting, what would be the difference from the council chambers and Heritage Hall?
What they're going to dictate is, I think the governor delayed the opening for another 2 weeks. So the social distancing, you can't abide by social distancing here in the council chambers. So we'll go along with how this pandemic is going. We'll follow guidance by the state and the health department.
Right, but what is the state guideline in terms of number of people to maintain, in order to maintain?
Well, I think right now it's 50%, but you got to have 6 feet distance.
Right, yeah, I'm aware of that. So 50% capacity of here versus 50% capacity of Heritage Hall. I'm just, I'm all for, obviously, what's in the best interest of the community, but I'm just saying, if it's just for, what is the reasoning behind council chambers and Heritage Hall? I mean, I guess that's my logic.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Since we don't really know when people are going to show up or when there's going to be a Zoom call, we have to be prepared for a full council at all times. So in that area, I'm not sure how this room would be set up with enough tables and space with a full council present. But if we had it somewhere else, we could at least know the spacing where it's kind of congested up here. We go to the stage, you can't sit next to each other. It has to be looks like it's every 2 seats. And then we'd have to have people on the floor. Then we'd have to have our attorney and our financial advisor, and then we'd have to have 2 spaces for the clerk. Then we'd have to have another space for the multimedia, and that's not even considering if anybody comes and is sitting in the audience. It's just an easier setup, knowing that if a full council came and was present, we would have the exact or the best spacing and the best guidelines to follow if and when there's a full council. And again, we don't know when that's going to be, because someone can show up or someone could be in Zoom. So it's just better to be prepared to have that spacing corrected if and when we do have that full council.
Okay, and that makes sense. I appreciate the clarification. So one other thing, is it something that we can say, all right, a temporary order until the until the governor actually opens up, and then it just reverts back to the council chambers? Is that something that?
That's correct.
Okay, so if he says next week we are back, then that ordinance will no longer be in effect?
Well, that's not happening.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I mean,
that's not happening. The thing is, this pandemic is real, and I'm taking it serious because my colleagues, all of you guys matter, your families matter to me, and I don't want you guys to get sick. To me, it's a no-brainer, okay? It's not going to cost money to set up some tables and some chairs at Heritage Hall if we got to go there. It's not going to cost nothing. We're going to walk in, conduct our business, and walk out. It's a no-brainer. Your health is at risk. Your family's health is at risk, you know? And I just don't believe that we're getting the proper respect and allowing us to use it, you know? It boggles me. I just don't understand it, because your health, our families matter. Absolutely. This pandemic is real. You know what? What's happening right now in Florida, almost 10,000 infections a day. Same thing with Texas, Arizona. Our infection rate now in Indiana has spiked up some, you know? So we got to be careful. We got to be very careful. And this is what this is all about. Once this pandemic is over, we won't use Heritage Hall to conduct a council meeting. We won't. But
Mr. President,
is real. Yes, Councilman Perez.
Yeah. Now, the way I understand this is a tool that we want to have in our toolbox. Obviously, when the pandemic emergency is over, we will go back as normal to the city council chambers. Correct? Up to that point. Now, that being said, I still think that there's something to be said that any council member that wants to have a meeting in a local community center ought not to be told that they cannot have a meeting in a local community center in their district. That's why it necessitated the ordinance, because they're telling you you can't do that. And I don't know that to conduct city council business now, I don't know one council, I think I've spent a little bit of time with most of you guys on that council. I don't know one council person that's going to disrupt programming. Obviously, if there's programming going on that's been scheduled, they'll make other arrangements. But you know, to say that we're disrupting programming or something along those lines, I don't think that would be the case. I know I certainly would never do that, but I do think that the city council as a whole and council members individually out in the districts should be able to have and host meetings in those centers in their districts.
Any other comments?
Yes, Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Councilman.
I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I don't think that in that ordinance it said that after the pandemic you go back to this council chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Bashimi, am I wrong, or does it have that in there?
Does the ordinance have what, Councilwoman Orange?
Have that after the pandemic, you would no longer need to host the council meetings at Heritage Hall.
No, that specific statement's not in the ordinance because that's not needed. As the other council members who've discussed it earlier this evening have explained, this is to give the council flexibility for deciding when and under what circumstances for full council meetings, but also for individual community meetings needed by a council member, full flexibility to use any city-owned facility that they need, subject to obviously previously arranged programs that are there.
Any other questions? Hearing no questions, roll call?
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
is she on?
She said yes.
Okay. Orange,
No.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Motion passes. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Wait a minute.
Second.
I have a question before we adjourn.
Yes.
All right, considering we just passed this, now where's the next meeting going to be?
We're going to find out what's on agenda, and then we'll go from there. I will notify everybody.
All right, thank you.
And I also got to talk to the administration.
All right, and then once that's set, that means all council members will be present at that site.
I know it's up to the council members. If we'll still do Zoom, as long as the government allows us to do it, but it's up to each individual council person.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, why we?
Then what was the purpose?
I was just about to ask.
What was the purpose?
Well, Councilman,
Yeah.
we're not discussing the ordinance again. You know, we're not going to argue that we just passed it.
No, I'm not trying to argue.
Okay.
I just brought up something. Okay, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made, seconded by
Me.
Councilman Rowe. Any questions? Roll call?
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Be safe.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.